Hi, and welcome to Marketing Optimization with Alex the Science. I'm your host, Alex Harris, and today we have Joe from Tandem Interactive. How you doing, Joe?
I'm very well. Good morning.
Awesome. Today we are chatting search engine optimization and all things related to driving traffic to your site and converting that traffic into users or customers. Joe, to start, I'd like to ask, what is your definition of optimization and why is it beneficial?
So I kind of have an interesting take on optimization because I came up with a program a few years ago that I call the SEO Diet. And the SEO Diet is really a kind of a different way to look at SEO. So when I talk about optimization, I'm very specific about talking about optimization regarding search. So for me, optimization is not only having the structure of the site sound, but also having the long-term plan set, which is a content plan and basically a link building plan. Now, in today's world, we're kind of getting away from the term link building. We're moving more to content marketing. But technically, content marketing is the same thing we've been doing for the past 13 years, 14 years, and it's no different. So content marketing is now link building and content kind of all mashed into one. And content marketing is one of the newer ways to talk about SEO and not have a stigma of SEO tied to it.
That's a really great perspective on it, because really content marketing is just link building, guest posting, really is just finding ways for you to drive traffic back to your site. And I guess having some more credibility with those links that you're really going after.
Yeah, I mean, I think changing the name to content marketing makes it seem like it's higher quality. So link building isn't just going out and getting directory links or some bookmarking site links. It's about developing that really great piece of content and then finding the ways to distribute it. So whether it's through building relationships with bloggers, editors, getting it on sites that can benefit from that content, and basically you're doing link building. It's a higher quality of link building.
Right. Thank you for that. Tell us a little bit of how you got started doing SEO.
Sure. So I was a tech guy. We'll go back in time to the late 90s, and I used to run a help desk support company. 99, I got certified to teach Microsoft the MCSE classes, the Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer classes. And just at that time, kind of the schools that were teaching all those classes and they were creating all these MCSEs, it was starting to implode, and they realized that we didn't need that many MCSEs, and technology was changing pretty quickly, and this is right around Y2K. And I had the opportunity to go work for a startup that was being very aggressive in the marketing side of SEO. So it was one of the early kind of big companies in SEO, and I was hired as the number 3 person. So it was the 2 owners and myself as a CTO. And I was there for 6 years, and I got to really get in on the ground floor. So I was at the first Search Engine Strategies conference. I was at the first PubCon. I was writing articles about the industry when there was only a few other people writing articles about the industry. I mean, it was a great time to get involved in it. And even when I first started, the person that prepped me and kind of brought me into that company said, "Well, what do you know about Yahoo?" At the time, I mean, I was using the internet to download MP3s. I mean, I wasn't really actively surfing and looking for businesses, but I did go look at Yahoo, and Yahoo was the very basics of optimization, and that's how I kind of got into it.
Yeah, and even Yahoo, you see how far it's come, back basically to its core, focusing on that quality content. And, even AOL and all the other networks, they're just creating content portals, essentially quality content to generate links back to your site. So tell us a little bit about the SEO Diet. Can you break that down a little bit further? Is that essentially your framework that you follow when approaching clients to help them build traffic?
It is now. And when I first developed the presentation, it kind of grew. So I helped in one of the first national certification programs, which was by the DMA, the Direct Marketing Association. I was the author of Module 6 for the natural search optimization component. And it was a really neat presentation. It was about 2 hours. This is back in like 2005, 2006. And I saw where it was going, and I was like, I can turn this into a really interesting educational presentation beyond what the DMA was doing in components, and really make it a different way to look at SEO. So it's a presentation I still do at conferences. So in the presentation, it starts off with the basics If you were, day one starting SEO on a website or just getting into understanding how to do SEO on a website, it's a very good basic presentation. It starts off with things like crawling the website and understanding what your current titles and descriptions are, looking at the basic architecture, your navigation, your footer links, registering the site with Google Webmaster Tools, Bing Webmaster Central. And that's the core. But then I think the SEO diet is really about the plan. And the plan is something that I would actually say I developed in the SEO diet first and then migrated that to clients based on needs. So in the SEO diet, I do very basic planning. So let's say you're a small brochure website. You should be trying to add 2 articles to the website a week, 2 web pages, and possibly 4 blog posts. And it's that plan and being committed to that plan that really helps a website grow. So a good example I use, my brother-in-law is a local dentist, and him and I sat down one day and we developed a list of keywords that were relevant to him. And we hit by combining all different variations of keywords. So location plus dentist, and then all the variations of dentist, and then specialty areas plus location plus dentist. We hit like 3 or 4,000 keywords. His website was 10 pages. I mean, you're not going to get 3 or 4,000 keywords on 10 pages of a website. Yeah. So we started talking about, well, how do we build a website to become a 100-page website or a 1,000-page website? And when you look at it from a 10-page website to a 1,000-page website, it doesn't seem realistic. But if you look at it as 2 pages per week and 4 blog posts, suddenly at the end of the year, you've got a pretty decent-sized website. I mean, in the hundreds of pages. Mm-hmm. That's pretty powerful. So that was really kind of the idea of the SEO diet. Is SEO is not a one-time fix. It's not a one-time optimization. It's a commitment to the website and that feeding the website of the right content, the right links.
Yeah, it seems that after you do optimization, you have a content marketing strategy for a while, and you're going and you have that schedule going, that calendar, and you're consistently putting out content, let's say once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, depending on the size of your site or your schedule, really. Is there a sweet spot that Google likes for them to come back consistently? And do you see that like formula of posting on Google Plus enough or Twitter enough and releasing content? I think that's what I kind of experienced with my own site after Panda and realizing the right way to do search, figuring out that calendar properly to really make it beneficial for you, because you're spending so much time producing content. How can you get the best results from your search engine efforts?
Yeah, so great question. I actually had that exact question come up on a client call, earlier this week. And the question was, should we be writing a blog post a day, so 5 days a week, or should we take our time and do 3 posts so that the content lives there a little bit longer? And we had 2 social media people on the call, and we had 2 SEO people on the call. The 2 SEO people said, do 10 articles a week and just make sure it's good content that's optimized. And 2 social media people said, no, do 3 articles a week and let that content live on the homepage longer. Mm-hmm. So there's 2 good perspectives there. From the SEO side, as long as it's good content, I don't think that there's a minimum. I don't think that there's a sweet spot, actually. I think that if you can generate good quality content that makes sense, great. And a really cool example of that is at PubCon in November, Matt Cutts keynoted, and he started talking about he had a plumber come to his house that he found the guy to be really interesting. So he starts talking to the plumber, and the plumber's telling him all these stories. And he said, if that guy would take the time to write his daily plumbing stories down, that's amazing, compelling content. And I think that's a really interesting content strategy. It's something I try to recommend all the time. Yeah. I mean, think about what you're doing on a daily basis. And if it's interesting, blog about it, post content about it, write an article about it, whatever. As long as it's good content, I don't think that there's a sweet spot in terms of too much. Now, minimum, I would say at least like a page a week, minimum, and blog post, again, minimum, maybe 1 or 2 a week. But those are minimums. Those aren't sweet spots. Now, on the other side of it, you said something that's really important, which is socializing that content and kind of what's the sweet spot there. Now, I always look at things from a search perspective, not a truly like content marketing perspective. So from a search perspective, it's very important that the content is developed and then it's socialized, because that socializing that content, putting it on Google Plus, putting it on Twitter, putting it on Facebook, is going to get that content indexed very quickly. In fact, again, at the same PubCon, I think it was announced that Something that's posted on Google Plus gets indexed within 8 seconds. I mean, that's pretty powerful. So you put up a new piece of content, you you put it on Google Plus and share it, and it's indexed. It's in Google's index within 8 seconds. I mean, that's pretty cool. Is there a sweet spot of that? I like doing it once. Again, a social media person may say that you've got to have a time schedule because you're trying to hit different people on Twitter that are active at different times. From a search perspective, I would just share it once and make sure it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I probably fit that once. I probably post it on Google Plus, and then I wait for people to come back and post comments, and then I might reshare it from that, or something like that. But it's come into your daily practices of getting it into search, and now that YouTube and Google Plus share the comments, it's even become more important that you get your stuff being engaged on Google Plus for sure. Have you seen that new change in YouTube to Google Plus make a difference in your clients?
I haven't seen it make a difference yet, but to me, it does open a door that was closed about 2 years ago. So let's go back 3 years, and there was a really interesting window where you could post links in descriptions of videos and get amazing link value from that. It the 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 tactic got too widely known, and unfortunately, Google shut it down because it was too good of a tactic.
Right.
This to me opens that back up because if you're posting something with a link in Google Plus and it's automatically getting shared to YouTube, then potentially you're getting that link from YouTube back to whatever the content is.
Yeah.
So I think there's at least a short-term link value in doing that Google has to accept because of the relationship that they've made now between the two.
A couple questions related more to social, which I probably could have Googled myself, but since I have you here, I'll ask you. Facebook.
Mhm.
If you share on Facebook, does it get indexed in Google, even though they have a gate?
So Google was pretty specific about them not trusting content from Twitter or Facebook. Twitter used to be an amazing way to get content into Google by posting the link on Twitter, and Facebook blocks Google from a lot of things. So the first part of my response was actually that Google is very public that they don't trust Facebook or Twitter in terms of their content or being able to use either as a true source of understanding the social landscape. They can't get that information from it. Facebook blocks certain indexing from Google. So I mean, if I'm posting something there, I'm not posting it for Google's sake. I'm posting it for Facebook's sake. And Twitter, same thing. I mean, Twitter, I think, gets indexed a little bit better, but there was actually a period of time when Twitter shut off the fire hose feed to Google that they actually blocked Google from indexing Twitter. And I think it was like a 3-week period that basically Twitter went black to Google. And if they don't trust it, then they're not going to use it.
Yeah, that makes sense. The reason why I ask is because once you do set up your authority or you sign into Google and you do those personalized results, you do see the Twitter results of people in your social graph, but you really never see Facebook results. So I just guessed that because they had the login related to Facebook, that a lot of this stuff just doesn't get indexed.
Yeah, definitely not as much as you'd probably hope if you were posting on Facebook. But one thing that I do see a lot of now on the back end. So I use Google Webmaster Tools a lot for my clients, and actually for all my clients that I'm doing SEO for. And when I see a new client launch, some of the first backlinks I'm seeing in Webmaster Tools is actually from Facebook. Now, Facebook puts redirect links on there, and basically I think there's no follows on everything. So technically those links really shouldn't be counting, but Google is picking them up, and you do see them in the back end. So they are paying attention to them, and there's got to be some kind of link value passing, even though they are going through redirects and they're going through, or I believe they have no follows on them.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's talk a little bit about metrics and analytics. After you have your site, decently optimized for search, and your driving traffic to your site, generating that content. When you're looking in Google Analytics and you're breaking it down by organic results, is there a way that you're figuring out the keywords that are coming in and then doing something actionable with that data to make your traffic go even further up or convert more of that traffic into buyers? Any insight there?
Not anymore. Google removed all keyword data from organic search queries, and this I use. I don't know why I don't have the date on the top of my head, but there's a date that Google basically the day the keyword died. So Google no longer passes organic keyword data. They went to full-time secure search. There's some data that's still passing, but it's like 5% of your keyword data, and it tends to be branded terms. So if you
Right.
look right now, your number one keyword referral, if you're looking at November
Hmm.
of 13, you're going to see not provided is more than 80% of your keyword data. So that data in analytics is gone. The data is still being provided by Bing. And Yahoo. So we still have keyword data there. We have paid keyword data from Google. So if you're advertising on AdWords, the keyword data is all there, but the organic keyword data is gone, and there's no way to tie it back, regardless of platform. I mean, you could be spending $100,000 a month on an Omniture install, and the keyword data is still not there. Now, the keyword data is available in other places. So Google Webmaster Tools does have the top 1,000 queries, and it goes back 90 days.
Hmm.
If you link your Webmaster Tools to your AdWords account will archive that data from now going forward, because Google Webmaster Tools only provides the data for 90 days, then it's gone. So a very important to do is to link it. Third-party tools like Raven SEO is now archiving that data as well, which again is very important and worth every penny of a service like that, because you want to be keeping all of that keyword query data, because you're not going to know year over year really what keywords were driving traffic. But the main thing that we did lose when Google pulled the keyword data away is we lost conversion attribution. So we can see what keywords people clicked on. We can see they came to the website, but then it's basically a black box. We can't see what happens when they came in from those keywords and went anywhere. I mean, that
Hmm.
data is gone, and it's not coming back.
Yeah, I saw all the news about the secure keywords not passing, but I guess I just didn't grasp the concept that the data in Google Analytics wasn't going to include natural search anymore. That's really insightful. Definitely eye opener to me. I have to really look at some of the data that I'm tracking myself. So let's move to the second half of the interview. Let's give some people some real tips of what they can do with search these days. Search is just a wide open space. A lot of people just don't really know what to do. I think it kind of comes down to when you're actually researching the keyword. Are you researching the right keyword to the right blog post to your fit? Is there any real tips that you can do when setting up, search, whether is that first blog post, or any ideas to take people's SEO to the next level?
Yes. So I'm actually going to come back to that, but my first and probably most important tip right now is make sure your site is SEO friendly on a mobile device. This is a really big deal. This is something that Google came out in March of 13 and gave us warning on. They kind of fired the shot and saying, look, we're going to start enforcing this, because what's happening is and again, there was an article, I believe, in July in Search Engine Land that said that only 8 of the top 100 Fortune 100 companies were in compliance of this, which shows how big the problem really is. So there's a lot of websites that you get to from search, and you would think you were going to find a specific article, and if you're on a mobile device, you're getting redirected to a different page. My largest client is actually a big offender here, and it was done for the right purpose, but it's the wrong result. So technically, when this happens, it's cloaking, and it's cloaking on accident. So you search for a particular, how-to article, and you think you're going to the website to read that how-to article, and you get redirected to a landing page on a mobile device. That is not in SEO compliance, and Google's going to start enforcing it. The quickest workaround: rebuild your site in a responsive design, and then you don't have that problem. This is a big deal. I attended the search, what was it called? Think Performance, the Think Performance event in September at the Googleplex, and they focused on mobile. I mean, mobile was the biggest subject matter of the entire conference, and the Think Performance event is really for home services. So any companies that are selling pest control, alarm systems, cable, like those were the people that were invited. And they said that for that particular industry, Q1 of 2014, website usage will be surpassed by mobile devices than desktops. Because when people are looking for something like your home alarm, or I mean, they may not be on a desktop, they're on a mobile device. And if the websites aren't search friendly, they're not going to rank, and if you've got a poor design, they're not going to perform well, which I'm sure for you is a big deal. You got to make sure all the clients are getting the mobile friendly designs. So that's number one. Now let's go back to your question. How do you find the right keywords for the right content? I like SpyFu. I think SpyFu is a very powerful product. I think it's gotten a lot more expensive from when I first signed up, and hopefully they don't see this and go raise my account. But I think I'm still paying some legacy, cheaper amount. But SpyFu is a great place to kind of figure out, what keywords there are. You can find keywords based on competitors' websites that rank on those keywords. You can expand on keywords based on where you're starting. That's a really neat tool. Google Trends, I think, is great as well, because Google Trends, you can kind of see when the right time to write the article about that keyword may be, and if you can queue it up a week or two before a spike, may be a really nice thing. When I talk about writing an article based on a keyword, I try to, and this is actually part of my SEO diet, I try to pitch how to write the article. So instead of taking existing content and plugging that keyword in, it's writing subject matter content. So if you find the keyword phrase or keyword phrases that you think are really valuable to you and you start writing about them, and it'll be very natural that you're going to rank on it because it's going to naturally be in the title, it's going to naturally be in the content a few times. I mean, it's great. And that's the better way to do SEO than to take an existing page and try to plug in the keywords, and it doesn't always flow very naturally. So writing subject matter content, whether it's in the form of editorials, white papers, top 10 lists, creative content, even running like contests and games based on those type of keywords, I think is a very powerful way to develop the right kind of content.
Those are some really great tips. One question about responsive, because I do a lot of responsive coding, whether it's to WordPress or just a basic site. I know you don't know Google perfectly, but does Google really know that it's responsive? I mean, I know that the browser, that it configures to whatever browser size it is, because I see a lot of focus on iPad, and I'm trying to really figure out how Google knows that it's an iPad versus, other pages, and how, if I know what that metric essentially is, aside from browser size, then I can maybe make iPad focused more. Because I do notice that iPad being the top device to sell on through e-commerce that's mobile friendly. So have you seen anything focused on doing SEO for tablets and that type of?
So what I've actually seen more is taking tablets out of the equation, because tablets, for the most part, except for Flash, work very similar to a website. And I watched a webinar from Extra Space Storage that was amazing, that was kind of one of the biggest aha moments I've had in the last 3 months, which is scrolling is meaningless. Basically, page fold on a tablet is meaningless, because if you're on a tablet, you're gonna scroll infinitely, and it really doesn't matter. But Google is paying very close attention to the difference between a mobile experience being a smartphone. Let's define a mobile experience as being specifically a smartphone. And I got a big smartphone. I've got a Samsung Note 2. I want to get the Note 3. It's a big screen, and I can interact with almost any website on it. Google has a mobile spider, so their spider can interpret the site the way a mobile device would. I would say that they're more interested in seeing two different sets of content. So if you got responsive design and they send a mobile spider and a regular spider, and they pull back the same content, which is what would happen, because responsive design, I'm sure you can explain it even better than I can, the CSS is controlling the experience, but the core content is the same, there's going to be a reward there.
Yeah.
Now, if a spider goes out and spiders 2 pages and the content is not the same, potentially there's not a reward, and there may actually be a detriment to the mobile because it's not the same content. And now maybe there's a totally different mobile site, and that's fine, but the responsive allows for better device handling. I think a really, to me, one of the most powerful examples of this right now is Amazon. I think Amazon is one of the worst user experiences on a desktop that I've ever seen, because I get distracted, and I think I'm a fairly intelligent person, and I go to look for a Samsung 75-inch TV, and all of a sudden I'm down the rabbit hole, and I'm so many TVs in that I don't even know where I started, and I can't make my way back. But if I search for that Samsung 75-inch TV on my mobile device, and I've got all those accordions that are kind of locking that
Yeah.
content in, and the content's there, but I'm not getting distracted by it, I'm more likely to buy
Yeah.
from the mobile experience on Amazon. So I think they're doing it really well,
Hmm.
and that's kind of my example when I want to point somebody to see the difference and when it can really be done properly. I mean, they do a nice job there.
Yeah, and I know that Google is focused on analytics for mobile versus iPad versus desktop. They're releasing some conversion related tracking that's going to differentiate between all three. So obviously, we can foresee that there's going to be separate analytics for each going forward in the future. Yeah, responsive is definitely right up there as number one. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Did you have any other more tips, or did
So tips on content. Make that list. I mean, again, using my brother-in-law as the example. I mean, come up with that huge wish list of keywords, and it's the combinations that really matter because people are searching in so many different ways. The other thing that I think is important right now, kind of post the Hummingbird update and Google changing strings to things, is being able to answer the question. So when you're writing the content, I think writing the content, thinking about how there's going to be more natural language searching, that people are actually using the voice search now pretty heavily on the Android devices. And I think Google is continuing to increase, their capabilities there. Answer the question. I mean, think about your keywords in terms of how many people will be looking for those keywords, and the traditional ways of looking for a two keyword phrase versus somebody asking a question that may be 10 words is changing. And we're going to continue to move to that longer query, even though Google just said that basically with the Hummingbird update, they're going to take that long query and they're going to shorten it to what they think are the most important keywords in the query. So we've got kind of both sides of that. Develop content the old school way, still around keywords, but also develop content thinking natural language and natural language search, and being able to answer the question. It's really just having that content strategy. I mean, don't give up on content, and don't let your content get stale.
yeah, yeah. If continue to optimize that content and figure out how you can make it grow. Let's conclude by telling people how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. So you can Google me. There's actually quite a bit of places to find me at Joe Laratro. You can probably just go to my website is one of the best ways. Just tandem-interactive.com. I think I have a personal site set up under that I'm using Rebel Mouse for. It's a neat site. It kind of ties all my social in. I'm not that active on social, but I do like Foursquare still, so I check in a lot of places. And I am a foodie, so there'll always be some good food pictures or comments. And that's just at joelaratro.com.
Awesome, Joe. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.